Welcome to From Days to Years. We're so excited for you to be here. As you can see, we're out of the studio today and we're in a fabulous location. This is the start of our new series called If I Tell You My Story. And that series will feature women, moms specifically, who have a story to tell. And today we're going to be here with one of my friends, and Heather is going to introduce her.
Hi. Welcome. We didn't do our.
I know we didn't do our.
Oh well.
We have to do this. We always do this.
I'm gonna feel off the
This
rest
is
of
true.
the-
We'll have to. And I'm here with my fabulous co-host Heather.
Hi,
How you
Angela.
doing?
How are you?
Good.
Okay, now I can do this.
Now we're good.
Oh, I was gonna feel off. I'm not even sure if I'm sitting on the right side.
We may not be, but that's okay.
I'm just gonna have to work through it because this has been a crazy day. I'm just gonna work. I'm pushing through, people. We are here today with Lakshmi. Sadri. I almost had my brain went completely because now I'm like, wait a minute, am I on the wrong side? I think I'm on the wrong side.
No, don't worry. Everyone put yours in.
Okay.
I'm cool. I'm used to it.
But I know, but it bothers me because I had a difficult name and I always was like, it's not that hard. I was like, it is that hard. So I'm going to say it again. Lakshmi Seshadri
Right.
is an entrepreneur. She was also Mrs. India Universe 2016. That's amazing. Like
For fun.
for fun. Oh, she did it for fun, people. She
Not
did it for fun.
seriously. I'll tell you about it.
Yeah, you are going to tell us about it. She's the founder of the Joy Box and founder of Mom Power 360. And she's also a wife and mother to 3 boys. So, I mean, that beats us.
Yeah, because I only have the one.
Yeah. So let's welcome Lakshmi, and she's going to tell us her
Thank
story.
you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So tell us a little bit about just, so her story, we're talking about her immigrating from India, just why she came, how it's been her assimilation process here, having, starting as a mom with 3 boys, a husband, the traveling, the also starting her businesses. Like that's what her story is going to be about. So go ahead. Sarah.
Yeah, so I moved here in 2007. So my husband hijacked me from India.
Elbows bend.
So he came there for his cousin's wedding.
Okay.
And that's how
you
we met. And he didn't want to leave. And he, instead was like a very quick thing. And that's how I moved here in 2007. So when I came here, it was a bit of a shock in a way because I was used to people.
Oh,
Lots
yeah.
of people.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, all I saw were cars.
Oh,
all
yeah.
cars and
Yeah.
no people. And
Yeah.
you're like, where are human beings?
Yeah.
Because the population in India is
It's a lot more.
It's a lot
Yeah.
more.
It's a lot more.
Considerably
It's
more.
hustle bustle and it's alive and a lot more people on the streets.
Yes. Oh,
so
yes.
here we're always driving from garage to wherever we want to go
Yeah.
and people are in the car.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of something that I had to get used to.
Yep. That's.
But otherwise, I like the peace and quiet here
yeah.
in one way, which
Yes.
is in one way it's great. So that's how it started, and so it just kind of adapting to the new place
Right.
and new culture. And so we started a family. We had 3 boys. Every 4 years we enjoyed each of our boys, and
Oh, nice.
then it's more about and in between I was like, I want to do something more than
Yeah.
just being mom.
Yeah.
So that's when I started looking into what else could I do.
Correct.
So that led me to going to the Mrs. India
Yeah.
Universe and representing India at Mrs. Universe,
Yeah.
mainly because I wanted to kind of just get out and have fun and then
Yeah.
meet all the wonderful
But
women.
wait, but you moved here in 2007, so you had to go
Yeah,
back
yeah.
to India to compete in 2016, or how did you do that?
So 2016, so I applied for the Mrs. India thing.
Okay.
And so what happened was we had selection at large of a sort.
Okay.
So where they were supposed to have a pageant and then they directly went with the short list and they had me go to the pageant for Mrs. Universe representing India. So I was like, okay. And when I went there for Mrs. Universe, it's like everybody were like, it's about the crown. But for me, it was more about just having fun, meeting women from different parts
That
of the
energy
world.
that you get from
Yeah,
that kind of
just-
event is just amazing.
And
I
it
bet.
is good. And I always been fascinated with culture.
Right.
And
There's a lot.
different people.
Oh, yeah.
And there I was meeting all kind of different women
Yeah.
from different parts of the world. And
How many women compete in Mrs.
there were like
normally?
There were like 70 plus.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's actually, I felt like it'd be in the hundreds, so that's why.
Yeah, and Mrs. Universe, so that was Miss, so this is Mrs.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I guess it's harder though. Yeah.
yes, yeah. So it was fun. I was in top 10.
Oh, wow.
And I was crowned Mrs. Perfection, even though I don't really think of that because I was like running.
She's gorgeous, y'all.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, just
thank you.
gorgeous inside and out. So there's a
Oh,
difference. Not just
thank
pretty
you.
outside, but pretty on the inside.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, thank you. So, and after I came back, I started the Joy Box project just by chance because I was
Wait.
Yeah. Explain what
So,
the joy
yeah, I
box
think
is.
we like
Before we
to-
get to Joy Box,
Yeah, yeah.
So 2007, you moved here.
Uh-huh.
When did you have your first baby?
So in 2010, we
Okay.
had our first child.
And then you had,
And then I had my second child in 2014.
so 2014, you had a 2-year-old,
Uh-huh.
and you're still doing Mrs. Universe.
Yeah, actually, the way I started, okay, this is the way the journey started. So after I had my second baby, I needed motivation to work out.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
I
Second
was,
baby is the second one is hard to come back
It is
from.
hard.
I still haven't, and I still think I am, but I haven't.
yeah.
Yeah. it's
So
hard.
I needed something to get me out of the house to the gym, to get into the routine and to be more disciplined.
Yeah.
So, but I'm a person where like I need something to drive me. Like,
Okay.
You know, other than just be like, okay, gym, all right, whatever, you know? So then I needed something where I have a deadline that I
Right.
can work towards. And
Yeah.
that's how I'm like, okay, what can I do where I have something where I have to get fit?
Right.
So
right.
let's go for that.
Yeah. No.
So that's how I applied for the Mrs. India thing, and
Wow.
it led me to Mrs. Universe, and then the journey began, and I was there with like 70 other women in China.
Yeah.
And
Ooh,
we
in
had
China,
so much fun. So yeah, that's how it started. More of a motivation to get in shape.
Get in shape.
Yeah.
And so, how long were you going back and forth to do that, or did you just go over one time and you were
Yeah.
there for a couple of weeks, or?
Yeah, I mean, anyways, I would go to India every year for summer,
Okay.
and from there went to China
Okay.
and finished the thing. Yeah,
And
and
then-
that's how it was.
Okay. So 2007, she moved to the U.S. 2010, you had her first baby.
Yeah,
2014, you had your second baby.
Uh-huh.
2016, she becomes Mrs. Universe.
Mrs. India.
Mrs. India Universe.
Yeah.
Nowhere. Yeah,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
Mrs. Universe. Um,
My husband always says that directly, and I'm like, I'm not. And he goes like, yes, you are. It's like, never mind.
okay.
And my in-laws always do that. And every time I go around correcting it, they're like, doesn't matter.
It does. It does.
No.
Now someone might be upset with me saying that, but doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's the way I am. I'm like, no, I'm like so, and they're like, it doesn't matter.
No.
They're like me.
You did a lot of work. That is not an easy thing to do.
No.
Yes.
It is not.
No.
And so then 2016, you did that. And then, so that you've had two babies, you moved a completely new country because you been to the United States before 2007?
No.
So how did it feel when you came over and you're like,
Yeah, I mean, more about, just as I said, like, it was like definitely different in terms of people.
Yeah.
I didn't
Now,
see
did
as
you guys
many.
move to Florida first?
Yeah, right here to
Okay.
Florida.
Okay.
because there isn't a large Indian population in Florida. In pockets there are
I
like,
mean, there are actually.
in
I was
pockets.
quite surprised because I thought there are not many, and then
Because we moved here from Seattle.
Yeah.
We had a huge Indian population.
we used to live in Atlanta.
Yeah,
It's
and I mean,
massive.
and there it was like Chinese restaurants. Like there was an Indian restaurant, and
Oh, yeah,
and everybody
yeah.
has their favorites, and you will
Yeah.
fight to the bitter end about whose is better than the others, and
yeah.
then it's like, oh, but this one's vegetarian, this one's not.
Yeah,
And we
yeah.
moved here, and we're still like, okay, so where's the Indian?
Yeah. No. There's a huge population
Yeah.
here. So when I moved, initially it was just adapting to
It's trying
living
to,
here.
yeah.
And but then later,
Yeah.
through my mother-in-law, like I got to know all the Indian community.
So your
It was huge
in-laws
here.
live.
In-laws
Okay,
lived here.
that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
How long were they here before you
they've
came?
been there since 2002 in Florida, but before that they were in New York, and before that they were in London. So
Okay.
my
So
husband
they've
was
been-
born in
okay.
London.
Yeah.
and, that's how it started.
So it was good to have someone already here so you can kind of, the matriculation
an
or assimilation
introduction
is
to it.
better than just
Right,
coming
yeah.
here and you're like,
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
crap.
And my husband's family's always been here. He's been here, so it wasn't like we both moved in. It was
Right,
more
that would've
about
been
like
hard,
me just coming into their life
Right.
and adapting to their life.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the fun part in India, we're used to having help with
Right,
the
yes,
lights,
yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
right? 24 hour
Hours,
help.
yep, yes.
We don't do
You don't do
much.
that here, no.
Then I come in here and I go like, ooh, so I have to do everything.
Is there different, yeah.
What? Like, okay, we're going to be sweeping and mopping,
Yeah.
doing dishes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So that was something that was something that I had to get used to
Yeah.
and learn and force myself
Have
to
to
do
learn,
it.
yeah, it's
because
hard.
It didn't come naturally.
Yeah.
It was not something that I grew up doing.
You're right, yeah, it's
because
not in your,
nobody
even
did.
your, wheel.
Nobody did.
No,
Neither
no.
my mother nor
There was
my-
nobody
anybody.
there. It wasn't like
Yeah.
you were like, oh, well, I'm going to go to school. I don't have time to do this. There was nobody. No.
They don't. So it's like, either we have maids, labor is cheap as well.
Well, it's
in
cheaper,
India.
yeah.
And the wonderful people. I've always had great
Right,
relationship
yeah.
with them. So it's more like, we're used to certain patterns. And
Right.
here we have to take
very
care
different,
of
yeah.
ourselves, like our house.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of learn and adapt to that.
Right.
So that was I think more culturally, I was like okay with that
Yeah.
than not seeing many people.
That
I
was
think
harder,
it was
yeah.
more about
Learning to do
learning
that.
to do stuff.
No.
So did you know how to cook before you came?
Oh yeah, I was a fantastic cooking.
Okay,
I was good. I
okay.
always
Yeah.
enjoyed
Everybody,
cooking.
I was going to say, in India, that's a big part of the culture is learning to
love
cook.
it. But
not everybody can
moms
cook.
passing it down to their
Yeah, it's
daughters. Yeah, it's an art. And it's a
But not
bonding
everybody can
experience.
cook.
For me, I go in. It's like it's
Yeah.
not about using certain things. I just go like, okay, what can I make? It's just I snip and I try to
Yeah.
figure it out. I think it's just
Right.
like over time you
I feel like
get the
something
knack
that
of
is
it.
in your genes or it's not
I
because
think we're used to.
I
seeing
may
it.
completely buy
Yeah.
by my recipe because the moment I go off track, then it's a disaster.
Yeah. My grandmother used to always say, as long as your salt is good,
Yeah.
your spice levels are good, and in our language, it's like they say upuli kara
Okay.
in Kannada. Okay, I just threw you off there.
No,
but-
no, it's okay. Now I'm trying to remember.
Yeah,
this.
I think people are watching. If somebody's from South India, they would probably understand. So as long as you have those three things balanced, any dish would turn out good. So with keeping that in mind, I'd be like,
Now
okay,
I'm
when
gonna
if
go
I screw
home.
up, as long as I have these
Right.
elements, the spice level, the salt, and a little bit of like the sour, as long as you have that balance in
Yeah.
our food, it will taste fine.
Yeah.
So
No, so is that kind of like balancing dishes also? So when you do cooking, do you think about that?
I mean, I kind of. It's like,
And we'll give you the
it's
definition of
instinct.
dosha later.
It's like you smell, right? You kind of over time you develop like a sense of how the food would taste with smell.
Right.
So when you're
Yeah.
cooking different curry,
Yeah, I need to come to your house and have you spend some time with me cooking.
and we grew up like watching. We have a big family, like my grandmother, had 10
Yeah.
aunts and. 10 kids, so grew up with a lot of aunts around cooking,
Right.
and every time I'm like, "What are you cooking? What are you making?"
Yeah.
And that's the way.
I miss that, yeah. Because my grandmother cooked, but she didn't want anybody in the kitchen with her. I almost think it was because that was her peace and quiet time.
Yeah.
And so we were always outside, and I don't think I got that because I know she was a great cook, a great baker. I have none of those skills.
But the problem was when I came here and I started cooking, I realized I have to clean the dishes.
yeah,
That is-
yeah.
Because I cook, but somebody else would
Yeah,
clean.
my daughter still
And the
has
sauces take a
that.
long time.
She
Yeah.
bakes a lot, and I'm
Yeah,
always
and
going,
you're cleaning.
yeah, and I'm like, you really need to learn to do this.
Right.
And she doesn't like. I finally said, could you put liners on your pans at least to
yes,
make my
okay.
life a little easier?
Right.
So her story, Lakshmi's story is a little bit different. So I have a lot of friends from different countries, from all kinds of different countries. And so some of my friends that have come here, they didn't know anybody. So
Yeah.
you are very blessed.
Yeah.
Can I say blessed? Or lucky or fortunate,
Yep.
whatever
Oh,
word
yeah,
you want to
oh, yeah.
use.
Yes.
Right
To have
here,
someone-
it's blessed.
Yeah. Very fortunate to have someone who is already here, who knew
Yeah.
the culture, who can
Yes.
kind of give you some guidance on which way to go. But
Right.
there's still some things that she had to learn, like the cooking and the cleaning. Not the cooking, the cleaning. Maybe how to run a household. Did you driving is different than there? Is it the right side, left side wheel?
Yeah. So that was different too. So it's the other side. Like in India, you drive on the right side.
Yes.
Here you're on the left.
Yes, that would mess me up.
So the first thing that I had to do was get my driver's license.
Yeah.
And the show went with my husband. I was like, he freaked out. He's like, never mind, let's just go and learn with somebody else. And I learned.
Yeah.
And that was that, once I did that, I was free to explore, and then I would kind of go and I go to
Right.
places and stuff, and then yeah.
That's also like real internet too, like smartphones. They were just starting,
We're
so
just
you
starting.
couldn't, you couldn't really like now go onto
Yeah.
Yelp and go,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
I
yeah,
want to
yeah.
find this.
Yeah, yeah.
Take me there.
Yeah.
You were really exploring.
Yeah, and we had like what, GPS back then?
Yeah, Jeep. some people-
Garmin.
Yeah,
We had
Garmin.
Garmin
yeah.
back then.
My
I can't
grandma, my
remember.
mother-in-law.
It was
had
Yeah, it
long
was,
ago.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
Garmin. It feels like forever.
It does
Garmin.
feel like
It
forever
was-
ago.
Yeah, I was quite. I was, I had time in my hand. I didn't
Yeah.
have children.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, let's
Yeah.
go. And then also we were house hunting. So
So that also-
that was something that would allow me to, like, to go see homes and
And
stuff.
find
and then,
neighborhoods and- yeah.
got our first home.
And then, so in terms of friends or relationships with other people, did you just kind of hang out with your mother-in-law's friends?
Actually, yeah, that's what I did initially because I didn't know anybody.
Right, yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I'm going to just go with her to the
Yeah.
temple and stuff.
Yeah.
So I would go hang out and I had a bunch of wonderful, amazing ladies.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. But over time, then once I had children, of course, then I developed my own circle.
Yeah, I-
And with
you-
story
it all
time
changes,
and
yeah.
parks and,
They're out of that life, and
yeah. So initially it was
Right.
that.
Okay, so that's good. So, in terms of the friends, so you had your mother-in-law's friends for the temple, then as you developed your own relationships through your kids. So very much like everyone else's life,
Yeah.
no matter what culture you're from, you always kind of flock to whoever your kids are friends with because you just kind of build your relationships that way.
Yeah.
Right. I think for moms, that's one of the main thing, right? Like it's about finding that common ground
Yeah.
with other
I
moms.
call it like a village. It's Somebody,
Yeah.
I mean, I was in this massive moms club, and then we kind of break off into little smaller groups
Yeah.
with people who you have a lot of interest in. And I
Right.
remember one mom going, but that's not how it's supposed to be. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, but there's 60 of us.
Right.
60 of us can't be BFFs.
Of course.
No.
I mean, I like you, and I
Because
wanna
20 of
hang out
you,
with
I don't like.
No,
And the
that's
other
true.
20, I'm not
And
sure.
your kids are different ages than my kids. And
As
my
well.
kids don't want to.
As well.
Yeah, so it's really is. There's that thing, and you just slowly keep narrowing down.
you
until
trickle
you have
down
your
on
tribe.
that.
I always got my tribe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you trickle down and you kind of filter out, and also it's about mentality.
Right.
It's also who inspires us.
Yes.
There's certain people with good vibes, and
Yeah.
certain people with negative vibes.
Right, yes.
So it's about just that comfort zone. And what I figured is even with friendship, it's not like you're with that one person
Right.
for the rest. I think with moms,
Yes.
with the life. Everyone's leading a busy life. I think it's just one of those where you meet and there's
Right. No,
certain element, and then there's another set
Yeah.
that happens, and that's what I've seen the pattern with me and even with my
Yes.
friends. And it's not like that it's not working
It's
or
just
there's nothing.
your
It's
lives
just
are evolving, and
Exactly,
everybody's
evolving.
changing, and you're maturing, and likes. Now, my
Yeah.
friend says we're all friends.
Yeah.
But eventually,
We
you're
all
going to have
part
other
ways.
friends, and it's not saying
Exactly.
we're not.
and you come
come
together,
back
you
together.
meet each other, you're always civil, you're always
Right.
nice, and you always kind of miss each other. You connect where you left off.
Right.
And that's fine, but it's not like, you're talking with the
Yes.
same thing.
Right. No,
And also we have to constantly grow, evolve.
Oh,
Yeah.
And I have moved a lot in my life, and so I feel like I have all these little friends, and I
Mm-hmm.
remember there was this time where there was a period when Facebook, social media first came out. It was all about getting as many friends.
Yeah.
Or in likes.
Yeah, yeah.
Then eventually it came down to
Yeah.
some of these people I don't even really like.
yeah.
Why
Actually,
am I friends with? And it came
that's
down to
true.
one day I said, I'm going to go through my whole friend list. And if these
Mm-hmm.
people if I happen to be in that town where they are,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to call them up and have a drink or a meal.
Uh-huh.
Why do I care what they did yesterday?
Exactly.
So I just started, and somewhere I was like, well, but I think I might. So then they just go off into another, but I
Yeah,
really
buckets.
started.
Yeah,
Yeah.
buckets
I
for
really
different
did,
people.
And it made me feel so much lighter. And
We call it circles. We call it A, B, and C circles. So like if Izzy has a birthday party, like we invite the friends in A, and if a couple can't come, then we go to B, then we go to C.
Yes.
And I
'Cause
feel
it's-
like also
you
with-
can't do
with-
everything
with-
with everybody.
True. And we also with the mom circle, I feel you need that supportive, inspiring circle.
Right.
And with the Facebook, like initially, I used Facebook a lot.
Oh,
and
yeah.
for me, it's also about being connected to my family and friends
Right.
back
And
home
that's
in
how
India.
I see it now.
Because the only way that they would know what's going on is either
Yeah.
like me sending privately to them, which I don't have patience to
No,
that.
to do it, no.
So it's like, or I'm going to put it here. you can
I
see
created
where
a page for
life
my
is. Yeah.
husband's family back in England. I've noticed recently that nobody uses it anymore.
Yeah.
But that's fine. It's there if we ever need to do a big.
Right.
But it really did come down to I actually have a time limit on my phone for myself. I realized you have the parental time limits for kids.
Yeah,
You
you
can give
need
it to
to do-
yourself.
you
I
have
give
to.
myself 30 minutes on
Yeah, yeah.
Facebook a day.
Yeah.
And so once I hit it, and some days I find I'm like, it's like 5 o'clock at night, and I'm like, oh, am I out of time? Oh, I'm not out of time because I've not used it all day.
Sure, sure.
And then if I find I keep giving myself 15 more minutes,
Yeah.
it's been a bad day because I'm
Right.
looking for anything to
Right.
justify whatever I'm about to do.
Right.
So it
right.
sounds like you've used some
Yeah.
technology to keep yourself connected to.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm sure you have a lot of friends, or maybe now it's different because it's 2007 versus 2023.
Right. I mean, initially I used a lot when I had extra time. I was
Yeah,
free.
of course.
And also I wanted to be in touch with family,
Family, yeah.
and that's a way of not feeling alone.
Right.
But then once you have children, life gets busy, and even then,
Yes.
like, yes, but then it reached a point where, again, same thing, like I started questioning, it's like, why the hell am I doing? I'm like, wait, this doesn't make
I have
sense.
so much other things
So I
need
know so
be
much to do.
doing. Yeah.
So I was like, but again, we were the first generation of moms who
Yes, who had Facebook.
who had Facebook. So we didn't know how to navigate it
No.
until we get in.
We
and
didn't
it sucks
realize
you in,
how
and then-
addicting it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
It's
And then we're like,
really-
wait a second, why am I going on and on?
Yeah.
And then it's like, to stop. And then also, what are you consuming? You're consuming other people's opinions.
Yes.
Their
I call it
voices.
fake book. It's not
Fake-
really real.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause you can see a picture of someone on a beach, but really it's just a sand pile of them laying and someone has a
Exactly.
thing. It's not real.
It's not real. And then
not real.
No.
I see moms comparing each other,
Yeah,
competing
and
with
that's when I
each
said,
other.
why am I doing
Yeah, it's
this?
like, that is ridiculous. And then it went to a point where like, I don't give a
I don't care.
I don't know.
No.
I'd rather
Yeah.
talk to people.
Yeah.
And it's honestly
Yeah.
started missing conversation.
Yes.
Where I'm like, I miss talking to people. I miss
On the
having
phone.
this.
Yes.
Not just phone, even
Being in
this
person. Oh
in
no, I miss
person.
that. I will be
because I
honest.
feel
Yeah.
like, at some point people gotten so behind the screen that they
Yes.
forgot the other stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what I was like, and one of the reasons, especially after COVID, that's when I started the Mom Power conference for the exact same reason, because I was like, okay, this is ridiculous.
Yes.
And, we are in this, caught up in this cycle.
Yes.
And for us to break with, also to
Yes.
inspire each other, we need a place.
Yeah.
So once you came here in 2007 and you were trying to find your mom tribe, you used a lot of Facebook to do that. What did you miss about India versus the United States? What differences did you see here, maybe in how did you change? How did you evolve? How did you assimilate into this culture? Because it's vastly different in terms of the
Yeah.
number of people and the composition of people. Like most
Yeah.
people in India are Indian.
Yeah.
Here in the United States,
It's
their percentages, like I think it's 70% are European American, and then everybody else is kind of in there too.
Well, India, in fact, like each state has different language.
Right.
Yes,
So
they
in
do.
a way, India is more like a bunch of different countries put
Right.
together.
Okay.
Because they have their own way of speaking, their own way of writing. Everything is
They're-
different.
yeah.
So what unifies us is English and there's Hindi.
Yeah.
So we
very
can communicate with each other.
Okay.
So for us, like for me, it was the same thing. Of course, people look different, but other than that, it's, we're used to people coming from different state and
Yeah.
different background, and we're already pre-programmed to adapt quite
to
well.
different culture. Yeah.
So it wasn't much of a thing. It's more about kind of getting to know people, making friends. But I've always been kind of choosy with who I make friends as well, because
Yeah.
I feel like, you're investing yourself into
yes,
that.
yes,
And I want it to be a good vibe.
Yes.
We're on the same page, and it's positive. And
Yes.
I'm a very positive
Yes.
person, and I expect the same kind
Yes.
of vibe.
Yeah.
Like any relationship
Yeah.
for that matter,
Yeah.
friendship is equally same thing.
Yeah.
So that's the way it was.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no.
So you're already used to, like you said, getting to know people that weren't necessarily from your area.
Yeah, yeah.
So coming here and you seeing different nationalities or different cultures, you didn't have to feel like you had to,
No, it wasn't
you were
it's
able
never
to
a
choose
struggle.
what you wanted to. It wasn't a struggle. There wasn't
Yeah.
a problem
No.
assimilating. Because I know again, I have friends from all kinds of different cultures
Yeah.
and backgrounds. And some people, when they come over,
Yeah.
yours is a different story because you already had in-laws here. When they first came to the United States, not being around so many different cultures and people that look different than you can be a struggle.
Yes.
Even me, I've lived here my whole life. I was born in the United States. And sometimes people feel uncomfortable around me, even though I'm from here.
Yeah.
They just, their world has been pretty much one thing.
Yeah.
And even though I'm from the United States and I speak English, they sometimes feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think it's also more to do with the attitude.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
they have various conflicts within themselves,
Right.
and
Yes.
you know,
It's an
so
internal.
yeah, it's an internal thing. If they've had past experience and
Yeah.
past negative experience, they bring it out.
Yeah.
So that's why I think, like, you know, some might hesitate, but that's why I feel like always I'm open to people.
Right.
Always have conversation. I always enjoyed conversation because I feel like there's so much to learn from people each time you talk.
Yeah, no,
so
it's
that
true.
curiosity keeps me,
Right.
you know, kind
Yeah.
of how to have the conversation, whether
Yes.
I'm in an airport or I'm, you know, I'm traveling. I always feel like, yeah, tell me your story.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, my husband hates that about me the most.
Yeah.
My husband doesn't like to talk to people because he does it all day long for his job.
Okay.
So when we're on vacation or it's the weekend or we're on an airplane, that's his down quiet time. And I always end up next to somebody who wants to talk.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to say no.
Uh-huh.
Even though I've got my book out in my lap that I've been waiting, like, you know, I've held for a week not to read because I'm going to read. I'm like, I will now talk to that person for 5 hours.
Yeah.
And my husband's like, and I can tell at the end when you're really tired of talking because then you just start saying the most random things that have popped into your head that I know aren't true, but you're just trying to end the conversation and you don't want to be mean or rude by saying,
Of
you're
course.
trying to make
No,
me think
it's
you're
more.
this
It's more
bad
about
person.
not
But
like it's not
Yeah.
like you're going on rambling or anything.
Yeah.
It's more about
it's this give and take in a conversation. And I find it interesting in the beginning, but I never know how to end it.
Yeah.
Because you're on an airplane.
no, of course you got to end. I mean, it's not.
I'm always like, oh, good, we're
It's landing. The
soon.
door is opening. I will see you later.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's just about being, whether it's,
It is, yeah.
it's not just about the airport, it could be a park where
Everywhere,
hanging
yeah. No,
out.
my husband goes, if there's somebody who's lost, they will. It's like you've got this. Oh, she's approachable. Let me go ask her.
yeah.
He goes, and half the time you're like, here, let me get in the car. You follow me, and I will help you get there. And I'm like, well, because that's what I grew up with.
Yeah, yeah.
My aunt and my family always wanted to help others, even if it was like finding something at the grocery. Oh, you couldn't find the laundry. Let me show you, and I'll just take you and show you where this is.
right.
That's just how I grew up.
So Mom Power.
Yes.
You, started that here in the U.S. And so that was 2007. We'll do the timeline one more time. 2007, she came to the United States. 2010, she had first baby. 2014, had second baby. 2016, she became Mrs. India Universe. Mrs. Universe.
We're crowning her today.
Oh no, I'm like, I don't even actually talk about it. You guys are making me talk.
Okay, we need to
I
find
feel
the
like it's
crown.
been
We
super
each
fun.
need to try it. I'm just saying, we should all try the crown and just be like this.
I have it in the closet.
Okay, we're trying it on later. We're going to the
You have
closet.
boys too.
Oh, yeah.
Like not a little girl who wants to walk
Oh,
around with it.
no.
All right, we're trying the crown out later. So then 2016, and then third baby came. What year?
2019, right before COVID.
Right before COVID. Then you're in the house with
At
COVID,
least
which
it
is
wasn't
crazy.
your first. Like, you know, you knew.
I knew and I was excited, but the funny story was it was spring break. And so a little one was 3 months old.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, okay,
a cutie too.
how,
That's a good
yeah, I'm
thing.
like three boys. How am I going to manage 1 week? And then COVID strikes, and they're like, okay, 1 week school's canceled. So I'm like, whoa, 2 weeks. How am I going to manage that? And then it went to like 1 month, and then they say the school's canceled.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy crap, 3 kids. Now I need to get my game on.
You
with the
guys
new-
were just where I came from. We were told from the get go 6 weeks.
Oh yeah.
No, we went in knowing.
No,
it was 6 weeks.
because initially it was like we're just trying to
no.
figure this
Yeah,
out.
the whole state shut down. They came out to us on March 12th. Beginning tomorrow, everything's closed for 6 weeks.
Oh really?
I think they told us the first 2
Yeah.
weeks, then like 4 weeks, like
Yeah,
overnight.
they kind of extended,
Yeah, and it
then
was like 2 weeks. Week 3, we're going to figure out some way to do
Something,
schooling, but
yeah.
we will not be back. Like it was an immediate. If we're not back in person in 6 weeks,
Yeah.
the year is done.
It's like nobody knew.
Yeah.
Like the whole world didn't know what to expect. So we were. It's something so different.
Yeah.
To even process. And here I am with this newborn child.
Yeah.
And I had two
And
boys.
2 other boys.
And then they're saying, okay, you're going to homeschool now. I was
Yeah.
like, whoa. So I was thinking, I waited until both the boys were in full-time school to have third because I'm like, okay, they'll
Yeah.
be there. And that got us a different plan. And they're like, here you go, all 3 boys, go for it. But it was an amazing learning experience in a way. So now I kind of joke about it. After having done that, I could do anything in this world.
Oh no, I'm still
That
trying to talk
trained
my
me.
kids into being homeschooled
Which came into
again.
place because she decided to start another business. Well, wait,
Yeah.
first we should talk about the Joy Box.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that part of Mrs. Universe? Like
No,
Mrs.
no, no.
Universe?
It had nothing to do with that. In fact, it was after it. Most of them usually they do before it, but I started after it.
Okay.
And more of an instinct project.
Okay.
I was in Delhi at an orphanage, and
Delhi
like,
is in India.
Yeah,
So just in
yeah.
case
I've
people are
been
looking
to
for Delhi.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
Well, she's traveled a lot. You've
I've
traveled.
traveled.
yeah. So
We
there,
went to India for a day from
Yeah.
New
I
York.
think you were in India for longer than that.
No, we went for a day. We flew in, got in first thing in the morning,
Yeah.
slept for a few hours, got a car, the cheapest car I've ever had with a driver, drove us to the Taj Mahal.
Oh.
The most unreal experience of my whole life. The Taj Mahal is just amazing.
Yeah.
I've
And we
only seen
flew home
pictures,
that night.
unfortunately.
one
But I
day.
worked for an airline, so that's why we were able to do that.
Right.
We wouldn't have done it if we were in coach.
I know. So,
No.
We were in first class.
Yeah, that's the way to travel.
Yeah.
International.
yeah.
With the Joy Box.
Yeah,
So
Joy Box.
so went to this orphanage, and there was this cute little girl. I think she was around 8 months probably, and it was heartbreaking because I'm like mom of two
Yeah.
back then,
Yeah,
and
there's
I'm
this
like,
little-
here's this little beautiful little child,
Yeah.
and I held her, and she was smiling, and then I had a flight to catch, so I'm like I had to go. So after we finished cuddling and playing, I was like, okay, I got to go, and I put her down, and she starts crying. She's like, lift me up, and then I would pick her up, and she'd smile, put her down, she'd cry. And it was heartbreaking. I was like, this is horrible. Like, I wish I could just take her home
Yeah.
with me.
Yeah.
And, there's rules and the
Yeah, you
things
can't.
and,
You
the
just can't.
adoption process, everything is done.
Yeah.
Come and
I
get you.
know. I'm like, I
My
just
child
take you. But it was so adorable. And I couldn't get her off my head.
Yeah.
I'm like, what can I do
Yeah.
to help them? Because, again, if you give money, write a check,
Yeah.
it's only you can do so much.
That's right.
And I'm like, I've got to do something to this kid. So I thought, okay, how about if I could do a box and give it to this apartments or companies or malls where people can drop off their stuff like toys, or because kids like they use one or two times, privileged ones, and that's it.
Yeah.
You don't repeat the clothes. So at least those how much, and they don't have much space in the closet.
So
it's much
gently
better.
used items. So
Gently, yeah.
Gently used items.
Yeah, whatever they want to, give away, they could just put it in the box, and that would go to orphanages and
Right.
NGOs. So that way, we're not taking
amazing.
money from people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in saying like just give the money, but because there's enough good to be done without
Right.
taking money.
Yes.
So this was an idea where we're not taking money, but we're just redirecting the surplus. So we're helping
Yeah.
people to clear out their closet. So it's a win for them.
Yes.
And it's a win for people. And when I've seen the joy on their face, I named a joy box where they get all the toys. It's like you being like a mom, right?
Yeah.
You're giving something, but I'm giving it to so many kids, and I keep getting pictures of children with those things,
Yeah.
with their new dresses. For them, it's new.
It's new. They've never had it. Yeah.
And it just like gives me so much happiness every single day. So that's how, and it's still going on.
Yeah.
On autopilot.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And there's a box that people can put in certain cities in Delhi, and then they collect previously
Yeah.
owned or gently used items for the children. For
So
the orphanages.
so the way I do is the joy box is the gift from my side that I give.
Okay.
And give it to the big apartments where there are like thousands of people within the complex. So they manage it, and I'd let them decide like which NGOs they want. So I'm not saying that you bring
NGO.
it to and like a non-government organization. That's what we say, non-profit.
Yeah.
Sorry, in India we say NGO. So they decide where
And that's
it
good
goes.
too, because they probably have a better idea of who has
Whatever
a
they want.
need. And,
Exactly.
right. And
It's not about-
it's like a community too,
It is
coming
community.
together, just
Right.
making this decision. I like
Exactly.
that.
So it's not like I'm telling them this is my stuff. None of those. I don't
Yeah.
put any condition.
Yeah.
It's just like this is my contribution.
Here's
Here's
the
your
container.
surplus, and here are people who need it.
Yeah.
Let's all come together and
I
make
think
it
that's
happen.
amazing.
So
I love community coming together.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's been like self-sustaining for
Yeah.
all these years.
Yeah.
And that's how that happened. And that was what I did for children. And then after COVID, I started this another project for moms. I just need something to drive me every
Right.
morning when I wake up. It's like, what's your purpose in life, right?
Right.
Like, you're not just coming here and just consuming resources
Right.
and leaving the world, but you're making an impact.
Yeah.
And for me, that really matters. So
Yeah.
And that's just part of, I think we were talking about this in the car on the way here. E and I were talking about that as moms. Again, we're moms, which is great.
Yeah.
And we love being moms. We love all you. Because I know Izzy is going to watch this later on. We love you, babe. Love you so much. But there's something else inside of us that we want to be able to give.
right.
We want to be able to give of ourselves, not just our body to our child, because we birthed y'all, but we want to leave, like you said, a mark on the world. Use some of our talents that we've been given or born with to make a difference.
Yeah.
Do you think that being born in India and seeing, because again, India and the United States are two completely different countries and two different continents, and seeing some of the things that you saw there, do you think that made an impact on you when you decided to check the Joy Box?
Yeah, always. I mean, there's stuff like everywhere, but each country, the bad situation. But of course, in India, with the two sides to India, there's one side which is the rich side,
Right.
and well-settled side, and there's the other side which is the poor side.
Yep.
And there's some people who are comfortable being where they are,
Yeah.
but also there's things I feel like could be a lot better if people who are on privileged side could help the ones who are
Right.
not.
Yeah.
But sometimes they're so busy with their life.
With their yeah.
So we just need something to give that little push without taking money from them, because again, there's enough stuff to be done.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think, about giving their time. It could be anything for that matter,
Right.
but as long as you're making that impact,
Yeah.
it's a good thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to give money, but this is a way of, like you said, not I don't want to say out recycling, but using the resources that you
Yeah,
have.
Upcycling,
for now, in the
upcycling.
beginning, as long as,
Yeah.
of course, we can do more impact, but let's start with something,
Right.
So it's just about getting things moving right.
No,
Everyone can make
yeah.
a difference with what you have. Anybody.
I will say one of the greatest things you can do for your child, at least in the U.S., is if you have access, is to go to the dump, because that's what we used to do where I moved from. If it didn't fit in your garbage can, they weren't going to pick it up, so you had to drive to the dump, and you'd back in, and there was just this hole in the ground. Which really, it had a big garbage can underneath it, but you're almost just pushing your stuff into this hole. And you just see furniture and mattresses.
Wow.
And people are throwing clothes in, and you're going,
Why?
why? And it's perfectly good stuff.
Well,
and it drives me.
yeah.
My husband's like, this makes me sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now that's
Amount
when
of
we really
waste.
started saying with their kids, do you really need this?
We are in
Yeah.
this world
Yeah.
where it's all consumer driven,
Consumer driven, yeah.
and it's all about buy, and even
Having the latest of
and
everything.
holiday comes and
Oh, yeah.
this comes and there's like more, and that's why.
I'm very guilty.
Christmas.
This Christmas,
No, but
is,
very
this
quickly.
is a very different Christmas because we're going to Costa Rica, and that is the Christmas.
The experience is
Yeah.
fantastic.
And we love experience. Usually we do Christmas.
great.
And
Yeah.
we've not really done it with the families because my little family of four, we're so content together.
Right.
Like we enjoy being together.
Right.
But when we lived in Seattle, we would go to Boxing Day up in Canada, and that was part of our big Christmas gift was going to, because we
Right.
all loved it. We had our favorite restaurants there. We would hit up the sales. That's when my husband would buy new work clothes.
Yeah.
The kids would get new sneakers.
Right.
But that everybody looked forward to it, and we're
Right.
really big into experiences.
That I totally agree with. Same
Making
thing
memories.
with me.
Somebody once said, "I just want to make memories," and I looked at
It's
her because they
priceless.
didn't
Yeah.
go anywhere. They never went anywhere with their kids. They didn't even dine out.
We travel a
We
lot with the
travel a
children.
lot. My
yeah.
kids loved it, and this trip is my husband's.
And you both travel a lot internationally.
yeah.
'Cause I saw
Yeah,
some pictures on
quite
Facebook.
big.
If
In
I can
fact,
find my
yeah.
daughter's birth certificate, I'm going on week 4. I can't
Yeah.
find it, and I'm refusing to order a new one because I
Yeah.
know it's in that office.
I have one question. One question. I was thinking about what you were saying, and we were talking about some of the differences in India and the United States. Again, every country has wealthy and
Oh, yes.
not so wealthy. And I think India, because there's so many people
It's
in
a
a small
huge
area,
country.
It
it's
shows
very
up more?
concentrated. It shows up
Yeah.
very much more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can see, like I've seen documentaries of children living in slums, and they're literally washing in
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
everyone uses the same outside shower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see a concentrated effort. We don't have necessarily that in the
It's
United
not that
States.
bad,
It's
yeah.
not that bad, but there's still a lot of poverty. Appalachia, there's lots of
Yes.
parts.
Yeah.
being
Oh,
in the
yeah,
streets.
no,
pockets,
there's
so-
places in
pockets.
Texas that during COVID, when they were trying to do online schooling, they didn't even have cell service in these small towns in Texas, so nobody could use their. They could
Right.
only, there was no internet to do
Right.
online school. So there is still a huge need even in this
Right.
country.
I mean,
Not
everywhere.
as much.
Not as much, but as she said, it's the
It's
population
the
that
population in
shows
India
up.
that's so huge.
That shows
just-
up a lot. It magnifies when you look
Oh,
at
no,
it.
because I remember on our trip to Taj Mahal, we drove past this really nice house.
Yeah.
And we were like, wow, look at that house. And the driver goes, oh, yeah, I know the owner of that house.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't have running water in it, though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then we watched the guy walk out to go to the bathroom in front of his house. And then he walked back in. And I'm going,
Yeah, and culturally some have their
and he
things
goes, and he
different.
also said
yeah.
that it's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he was giving us cans of soda, and when we were done, we did our thing where we put it in the door, and we were gonna. He goes, no, just roll down the window, throw it out. And I said,
no, we don't
I
do that."
can't
Yeah.
do that.
I know.
I'm a visitor to your country, and I
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
do that.
And that's something.
But
that,
it's a culture
Yeah,
thing too. I mean,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
just how he wrote. He thought we were so funny.
Yeah.
You Americans.
Do you think that? Okay, so this is
it's
another question.
definitely getting better. There's
Yeah.
some who are still they need to learn that.
Right.
Like I'm from Bangalore, and
Okay.
it's like it's nice there.
Right.
For the pockets that it's out of
Yeah.
control.
Oh
Just
no,
over
I
here.
really want to take my kids.
But yeah, I think it is definitely changing. I feel social media has been
Social
great.
media, yeah.
Because now what they do, the people who actually take videos of other guys throwing and they post it.
Oh.
So now it's becoming like, and even with the new
Facebook shaming.
minister, yeah, the new prime minister too. There's like there are all these different things that they're doing
Right.
to keep it
Nice.
clean and
Yeah.
stuff. So,
Because it's
yeah.
so many people in such a
That-
small
yeah.
area.
And it's such a great culture.
It's like New
though,
York,
too.
right? Like,
Yeah, it's like
you go to New York,
everybody's on top of each other.
gets-
You just go up.
you go
All the buildings
up
are
and
going
also like at certain point it's not as it's hard to keep it clean.
It's hard to
I
keep it
think.
clean,
So,
because
It's, just,
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
small area, and you have so many people, and just
Right,
like any
yeah.
concentrated area, you're going to have those problems are going to
Yeah.
multiply.
There's
Exactly.
always the problem, people.
Unless
the
it's like a rural area
troublemakers.
where there's tons
Right.
of space.
And culturally, like, when you travel, like
Yeah.
you see that difference. Like when we travel, we of course see that, like what you see to when you actually
Right.
go into places. So I
Right.
think, yeah.
If there was a mom coming from India and they did not have what you had, the fortunate to have a
The
structure
infrastructure.
already set up with
Yeah.
having in-laws here, and they'd been here for
Yeah.
7, 8, 10 years. I can't remember.
Yeah.
5 years. They've been here for 5 years. My brain is working. I need
And
more coffee.
they've been, just like they moved in their 60s to London and here. So they've been out of India for a long time. And
Probably longer out than in.
yeah, and even my husband, like he barely been to India. So for me, it was more about just follow along.
Yeah.
And all of your children are born here, so it's different. But if you had a new mom that was coming from India or any country, really, it doesn't really matter where, and they're coming to the United States, what advice would you give them to say, hey, maybe they're a little bit nervous, maybe they're a little bit scared, and what advice would you give Americans who maybe don't? Sometimes
You want to
people-
support, but you don't know how to support.
or you want to say
Or
hi.
how to, and you want to say, you want to approach them to ask, do you need help? Do you need somebody to talk to? But
You want to be friends, not
But
even
you
not
want-
help
you
as
don't
in
want
money,
to, like-
help as in
Yeah.
friends. You
Yeah,
want
that's what
to
I
get
mean,
to
like,
know somebody.
know somebody and
That's the
help
whole point
them
of this
navigate,
show.
because just navigating
Yeah.
school can be crazy, getting your child enrolled
Right.
and knowing where to go for this. Oh, my child's sick. Where do I go?
Yeah, yeah.
And this is based on, so there are two questions. One would be, what would you say to a mom that's coming here and they're a little bit nervous about coming to a completely different culture and completely different everything? And the other question is, if there's someone, a U.S. citizen, or even someone from another culture that lives in the United States
And
that
wants
wants
to
to
help.
reach out, not help as in money, help and give
But,
things,
like,
but just
give
to be a
assistance.
friend, to be a
Right,
friend.
right, right.
What advice would you give to those two people?
Right. So one from moms coming to United
Yeah.
States, whether from India or any parts of the world, maybe it's like, get to know people, like don't be intimidated because people are generally nice.
Yes,
I've
yeah.
never had any bad experience.
Right.
And then also to go join different community, whether it could be like library because libraries have a lot of nice
Yes.
fun things that they do, whether it's story time for children, always went there.
Yes.
And
And it's
they're
free.
like,
So no
and
matter,
it's
how
free.
no matter how much money you have, the library is
It's
free.
always free.
And it's great because with
There's
with
so
your
many
toddler,
resources, too.
yeah, even if you
Yeah.
don't know anybody, it's fine. Like I would take my children to story time like every week. I
Yeah.
wouldn't miss any week, and would have such a good time there. And then you meet other moms with similar children,
Age
with
children,
age
yes.
group. And then of course parks, going to hanging out at parks, and it definitely helps to just be out there and not be cooped up because then you're confused and you're in this different country. And
Right.
of course, building that community and your mom tribe is very important
Yeah.
just to, have that support system around you. So, and for other, on the other
Yes,
question
yeah.
is for Americans to help moms is mainly like, just to smile and just be friendly and be like, hi, where are you from? And, just to kind of start the
Yeah.
conversation and, like, when did you move here? And just, getting to know you. Are they new?
Right.
Have they been here before? And
Yes.
just, inviting them for play dates and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think they would feel welcome. I remember like when I was pregnant with my child, there's so many times when people would come and help me. They'd be like, it's like, we got your back, don't worry. It's
yeah.
like, we're going to get the car. I was like, it's so nice.
Yeah.
That was like very, it always
I
made me
remember
feel
that,
very
because
well.
I traveled all when I was pregnant with my first, and all of a sudden every man wanted to help me put my
Yeah.
suitcase above, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
they're so sweet.
where were you when I had a really heavy suitcase and I couldn't get it?
You weren't a mom. They didn't
Yeah,
care.
yeah.
There's nothing.
I feel like here people are definitely, I think in the United States,
Yeah.
definitely they're so much warmer here.
Right.
So I don't see any issue. Like always, people have been so good. I remember when like right before I had my third one, they're like, oh my God, you're about to pop. Don't lift that. And all of a sudden it's like, I'm like, no, I think I'm good. No, don't do that.
Don't sneeze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think people are more worried about me. Than
Yeah, I think they're more worried about that you're going to have
Yeah.
to really help.
Yeah.
Right,
Nobody wants
right.
No, nobody wants to help.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to continue this series. Our next guest will be in another month. So if I tell you my story, we're going to continue a series. Again, it's going to be a mom coming on, telling you about her experience on a variety of different topics. So this time we had Lakshmi here. I'm going to say thank you so much.
Thank you.
And just talking about how it is to immigrate from another country. And again, she had a support structure already set up with her in-laws having already been here. Sometimes you might encounter a mom who just came here, maybe doesn't know the language. Maybe they're uncomfortable speaking the language. I know a lot of moms who, even though they know English, they feel very uncomfortable. So be accepting of people and give them a chance. Let your heart talk to their heart and really give them an opportunity to get to know you. Don't try and work on preconceived notions or what you may have read in the media or news, whatever you listen to, and just try to get to know that mom as another mom because they're going to need you. Whether they have a support structure here or not, they want to feel loved and welcome just like you do. So thanks again to Lakshmi
Thank you.
and
Thank you.
Heather.
Angela. We are on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
Yes, and also our website from daystoyears.com. If you love our shows, or even if you kind of like them, make sure you're sharing them with friends and family. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.